The immediate impact is global. The European Union has already been hit with a 15% tariff on its pharmaceutical exports to the US. India, a top supplier of generics and pharmaceutical ingredients, is also in the crosshairs, especially as it continues buying oil from Russia, which triggered additional threats. Even Canada, while not named directly, is feeling pressure through pricing rules. Trump's administration is pushing a most favored nation pricing model, demanding US drug prices never exceed those in other developed nations. That puts countries like Canada at risk, where drug prices are, on average, 50% lower than in the US. To satisfy the rule, companies may raise prices in Canada, potentially delaying access to new treatments and stressing provincial budgets. Canada also plays a vital role in pharmaceutical trade, exporting generics to the US while importing branded drugs. Politicizing this flow risks shortages and could slow innovation. And while there are no blanket US pharmaceutical tariffs yet, the 15% imposed on the EU marks a sharp shift. This came just weeks after a framework trade deal was announced between the US and EU, making the sudden tariff feel like a betrayal. Retaliatory tariffs from the EU have been delayed for 6 months, but if Trump escalates again, the entire agreement could unravel. Trump insists these measures will bring jobs back home. But pharmaceutical production isn't easily relocated. It takes years, regulatory approval, and billions in investment. Giants like Johnson & Johnson have promised new US facilities, but they won't prevent near-term price hikes. If companies pass costs on to consumers, the very tariffs intended to lower drug prices may end up raising them. Meanwhile, Trump has also imposed a 35% tariff on Canadian goods not covered under the USMCA. The justification: fentanyl trafficking. But trade insiders suggest it's retaliation. Canada maintained counter tariffs worth $60 billion on US steel and aluminum. Only 2 countries stood up to Trump's original tariffs, China and Canada. Despite the hit, Canada didn't escalate. Prime Minister Mark Carney emphasized stability, protecting key industries while avoiding further confrontation. His approach: respond, but don't react. Behind the scenes, Canadian officials continue negotiating, backed by a Royal Bank report suggesting the tariffs won't drastically affect the country's economic outlook. Meanwhile, Trump plays both sides. While some aides claim the tariffs are final, others say negotiations are ongoing. This tactic, issuing threats, then flipping the narrative, is becoming familiar. He recently called a deal with the EU a 50-50 shot, then announced the biggest deal ever, hours later. It's less negotiation, more theater. Canada now faces a choice: follow others in signing vague agreements to avoid penalties, or push for enforceable terms that hold up beyond the next press conference. Trump's deals often lack details: no timelines, no guarantees, and no consequences for failure. That ambiguity gives him control but leaves trading partners exposed. The impact at home is also real. American consumers are already paying the price. From machinery to specialty foods, the 15% EU tariff hits broadly. Small US businesses are especially vulnerable. They can't easily absorb rising costs or shift supply chains, so the pain trickles down to wages, prices, and hiring. And despite the headlines, big promises of foreign investment remain vague and years away from materializing. This is where Canada may find leverage. By aligning with US industries hurt by tariffs, like auto manufacturing and food processing, Ottawa can show how this policy damages both sides. A slower, deliberate approach might not grab headlines, but it could deliver a real deal, one that holds, one that lasts. This is True State Report. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.